Hello, Weird Al.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how you doing?
I'm excellent. It's great to talk with you today.
You too.
Well, we know you got the new album coming out, or it's out today, Mandatory Fun. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, the new album's got parodies of Iggy Azalea, Lord, Pharrell Williams, Robin Thicke, Imagine Dragons. It's got the requisite polka medley with everything from Miley Cyrus to Daft Punk. It's got pastiches and style parodies of college marching band songs and 90s alternative rock and kind of every genre you can imagine. So the album's all over the place, like most of my albums are, and a nice time capsule of pop culture from the last couple of years.
Yeah, and you have music videos coming out. I think I heard 8 of them all coming out in the coming week here. Yeah,
we world premiered the Tacky video yesterday, which was the Pharrell parody. Today is, I'm not going to say what it is, but there's a new video every single day for 8 days, and you can find them on WeirdAl.com. They're all over the internet, but that WeirdAl.com is where you can, it's your one-stop shop. And
then is there a tour in the works for this album coming up?
There is. We're not going to be on the road anytime this year, but next year for sure we're doing the Mandatory Tour. So, like I said, nothing's booked yet, but we will definitely be doing a major North American tour next year.
Awesome. And when it comes to, selecting the music for the set lists for your show, obviously you've been doing it for so long, there's a lot to choose from. How do you decide which ones to add and drop to the set list every year?
There's a bit of a science to it. I mean, it's difficult because I can't play for more than 2.5 hours. I think that wears on everybody's bladder. But there's a lot of songs that fans would love to hear and kind of expect to hear. And at the same time, we want to, of course, feature as much material as we can from whatever the new album is. So it's just a little bit of like a push and pull. We add a few things, we take away a few things, and we want to make sure that the tours are as different from each other as possible, while at the same time, giving people what they want. So it's a little bit of a puzzle.
So every once in a while, you can throw in some of the deep cuts, like a Midnight Star or a Melanie or something like that.
Yeah, that's the idea. I try to make room so that we can always throw in a few surprises for the hardcore fans.
Well, we heard this will probably be your last, conventional record because your contract is up. And I actually spoke to you last year. You mentioned maybe switching to kind of just releasing singles or online distribution. Is that something you're still going towards?
Yeah, I haven't given too much thought to it other than everybody's asking, like, what are you going to do now? But I think that's probably still correct. I don't want to frighten anybody when you say it's my last record. It's not, I'm not retiring. I'm not planning on stopping. It's just that the album format is a little restricting for me because it requires me to wait until I have 12 songs before I release anything. And that way some of my songs feel a little dated. So I would rather just release stuff pretty much as soon as I've recorded it and just kind of get it out there. So I think something like that is probably the way I'm going to be working going forward.
So then it's, obviously if you do the conventional album, it takes a few years. This way we might actually end up seeing more from you throughout the years.
Well, that's the idea. Instead of like waiting 3 or 4 years, like you said, hopefully you'll be hearing from me every few months. We'll see.
Well, and on the new album, Mandatory Fun, outside of the standard polka medley, there doesn't seem to be a lot of accordion on the new one. Is that something you're kind of shying away from, adding it into songs, or maybe it's just not appropriate for some of the new stuff?
Well, I haven't had too much accordion on the last several albums. I mean, I've in the old days, like Another One Rides the Bus, I mean, part of the joke was I was doing the main riff of the song on an accordion instead of a lead guitar. And for the last several albums, we've really tried to emulate the original sound of the pop song, which means, of course, there's no accordion. So yeah, I think probably the polka medley is the only song on this album that actually has an accordion, but it's not because I don't love the accordion.
Well, it's good to know you're probably out there still keeping your chops up then.
Yeah, absolutely. The accordion is still a big part of the live show, and I still serenade my wife with it around the house. So I still I still keep in practice.
Well, and as a longtime fan, I know there's a lot of stuff out there that you probably have floating around. Dr. Demento era stuff, and we know you had the permanent record box set out a while back. But do you think maybe we might see compilations and maybe some of the one-offs and some of that older stuff?
There's not a lot of B-sides or unreleased recordings. I mean, all the stuff that's unreleased is for a very good reason. I mean, there's some stuff that Dr. Demento has put out on his own compilations, pre-1982, like the really, really, really early stuff, which is, frankly, pretty bad. And it hasn't been re-released or recorded for a reason. I don't own my own catalog, so I mean, going forward, I will. But it's sort of up to my record label what they want to release in terms of compilations. I kind of think they've already kind of got their fill because you've got the there's a few box sets out already and a few compilations out already. And I think if you're really interested in my catalog, you've either got the whole collection or you're set with your compilations.
Well, and speaking about that early stuff, one thing I think is really fascinating considering how long you've been at it, you have basically the same band since the early days, and there's really been no turnover. Is there a secret to that, you guys keeping it together and not getting on each other's nerves after all these years?
We're just lucky. I mean, we just like each other. We get along. There's no drama on the road. And also, I mean, they're amazing musicians. I mean, how lucky was I? I mean, like in the early 80s, I found these guys, and they just can play every genre imaginable. Their chops are unbelievable, and they're just nice guys. I mean, they're guys you want to spend time with. So we've never had any kind of behind the music moment, you know.
Another thing I wanted to ask you, I know you have a daughter now that's approaching teenage years. Does she appreciate your music or the impact you've had on people, or do you get a typical like "quit embarrassing me, Dad" kind of thing that most parents do?
No, I don't get the eye roll from her. She understands what I do. She, I think she, I definitely know that she likes my work. I mean, she's always been a fan. But she's very grounded. She doesn't get like real excited or real wrapped up in it. I mean, like I took her to a Justin Bieber concert a couple of years ago in Milwaukee, and she likes Justin Bieber, but I mean, everybody around her was screaming their head off and going insane, and she was looking at me like, "What is this about? Why are people like acting this way?" So she doesn't understand like the mass hysteria part of it, but I mean, she appreciates and understands what's going on.
And again, the new album out today, Mandatory Fun, and as you mentioned, going towards kind of releasing singles maybe down the road. How long do you kind of just sit back and enjoy the album before you start to get working on the new stuff?
I listen to the album a lot in my car before it comes out. I mean, I listen to it like nonstop for a month up until release, and about kind of at that point, I've had my fill of it for a while, and then I let my brain just sort of relax, and then I'll start working on the next bit.
Excellent. Well, again, the album is great. Mandatory Fun is out today, and as always, it's great talking to you. Huge fan, and looking forward to maybe seeing you on the road soon.
Sounds great. Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks a lot, Al.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.